Hello guys, and welcome to Supreme Ruler 2030. This video will be part of a playlist where I show you the playtest of Supreme Ruler 2030 while also talking about features and news on the game leading up to its release. If you're interested in that type of content, check out that playlist in the description below or the cards at the top right. Today, what I wanted to tell you about was Battlegroups, a feature already known to SRU players but vastly different in 2030, and its newer parts being somewhat ported back into Galactic Ruler already. I was actually going to make this video earlier, and I'm glad that I waited because they appear to have undergone some changes recently around the time that I'm recording. So battle groups still work kind of similarly from their base on how you make one. You select some units here, and then you have your battle group controls, and you can create a battle group or remove them from a battle group if they're already in one. When you have a battle group created, finding it is very easy. It is under the command department here, under battle groups, and you just select it as you would select it in SRU, and you have your list here of your units in your battle groups, as well as some controls for them, and the ability to set an ROE specific to all the units in your battle group. There's a handy button to center on the battle group, as well as a way to rename them so you can keep track of them more easily. And I believe you will be seeing a lot more usage of this feature in Supreme Ruler 2030, because in SRU, it was mainly there for organization, just about what I've shown already, and that's about it. However, in this game, battle groups have expanded dramatically to help you with micromanaging your troops. It even includes new features to help you macromanage and set different AI control levels per different units. You could have a global setting and then settings based on your different battle groups, as well as assigning them similar objectives. So, what's different exactly in 2030 compared to SRU? Well, when I have the entire battle group already selected, I'm sure you can notice a little bit of a difference. We have a very good way to keep track over all of our units right now, and that's pretty interesting because usually you would only really see based on down here, and if you have them selected, there might be a little symbol around them, these little squares that you can barely visibly see. But now everything is tracing back to this one person up here. This is because battle groups now have leaders. So if I don't have the battle group selected and I go to the battle group here, I can set a battle group leader as any unit that I want. And then those units will all base around the leader. And now that's actually fairly important. Why is that important, you might ask? Well, when you select units in a battle group, I select this guy, I can select these guys, I could select this guy. Cool. If I click on them, I could access the battle group like that, but I have to go through a menu. If I select the leader, I now have control over the entire battle group. And what more, battle groups now have a formation move. F to toggle, or click this little button here, which if you look at the map, you can see these visual indicators down towards the center. I'm only giving a command to move the leader up at the top, but however I position these units, that becomes their formation. I can customize this by the looks of it by simply moving the units within the battle group around. So if I want to really micromanage and keep units tight-knit or spread out moving along a front, this is how I would do it. Turn on formation move, and then they can all move together. Now this could have variable levels of usefulness based upon the composition of my battle group. Well, assuming I have a reasonably realistic composition for working together, there's also a new feature here to move units at a common speed. If I enable this, this will have all the units move at the same speed as each other, so especially useful if I have a tight-knit group for advancing them together so the faster units do not get ahead. Or this can also be useful in a spread out formation like this, if I was trying to advance a front and simply wanted them to advance together regardless of their actual location on the battlefield and their targeted goals. And that's not it. They've also introduced a Manage Battle Groups screen now, which is very, very handy. It's where you can see all of your ungrouped units, group them together either manually as you would in SRU, or have some help. For example, maybe I want a land-only battle group. Maybe I want everybody in it to be unmounted because I'm trying to select only my unmounted units because I want them to be able to move at roughly the same speed. Maybe I am doing this because I want to get a airdroppable battalion to drop behind enemy lines. So there we narrow it down to our airborne elite, for example, paratrooper units, so that we can do that. I can even assign additional move types that maybe I want them to be able to share. If I want to include only specific ones, I can tell the game, do I want the force type to be mostly offensive, balanced, defensive? How large do I want it to be according to what the game thinks is small or large? You can add more in later. You could have it auto-assign a leader, or you could assign it yourself. Tell it specifically, use these filters for the creation. If I can just uncheck, but keep my filters, if I just want to quickly make one manually without resetting all my filters. I can tell the battle group that I want it to automate or not, for example. Personally, I think they need a better visual indicator than filling in a gray box to become a black box. Maybe a check mark, I think, would be way more noticeable. I was clicking on this several times thinking nothing was happening, but I could tell that battle group specifically to automate itself, and I can also disband it. I won't click this because this isn't going to turn black. Just clicking on this little gray area here is going to literally delete it. I'll just show you it. Why not? Yeah, so I feel like that needs like an X in it to let you know what you're clicking on personally. Regardless, I could just create a new battle group anyway, and bam, a new one has been spawned in. Now, I will say there is a bug with the formation move in the current playtest, whether it's on or off. It's always on for battle groups. At least I would think that that's a bug. I hope that that's a bug. If I go into units separately and I give them a formation move based on where they are, which I believe was a feature in SRU anyway, just if it was, I never used it, then I can move them and it functions perfectly. It's just the battle groups are based around the leader that I can like neatly select if I so choose, if I know where he is, and move them around with this new feature. Very easy to get a hold of a permanent formation as opposed to a temporary one for when you have certain units selected temporarily. While we're speaking about the topic of these battle groups and the new features of automation and micromanagement that they bring in, it's also worthwhile to note that we can now automate individual units through the unit orders screen as well, which is kind of all part of the same system, but very useful. I believe this was in Galactic Ruler, or maybe it was ported back to Galactic Ruler, I'm not sure. But yeah, that's what I wanted to show off to you guys, was the new updated battle groups, the way that you can control them, the way that they can make controlling your units easier. What do you guys think about the current setup and development of this new feature? That's all I have for today, but again, I'll be making way more 2030 coverage in this playtest leading up to release, so once again, if you'd like to see more of that, check the playlist and or hit the subscribe button and the bell. But for now, thank you guys very much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.